The road to Kangzhou twisted through icy winds and brittle trees. The journey was arduous, yet Lin Chong, wrapped in silence and bound in shackles, marched on, his spirit dulled by betrayal and exile. Beside him trudged two jailers, their names as foul on the tongue as their intentions, Dong Chao and Shui Ba. But unseen by them, fate had stationed a guardian not far behind. Just as the whip of winter threatened to freeze the marrow in their bones, a sharp cry tore through the woods. From behind a pine tree, a thundering voice bellowed like a tempest, "I've heard enough of your devilry." A shadow flew through the air. A thick iron staff came crashing down with a deafening clang, striking Zhui Ba's raised cudgel and sending it spiraling into the void. Out from the shadows leapt a rotund figure in dark monk's robes, his eyes blazing with fury. It was none other than Lu Jishen, the wild monk of many tales. Brandishing his iron staff, he stormed forward, his voice booming through the trees. "You wretched cowards, think you can harm my brother while I still draw breath?" Startled, the two jailers scrambled backward, their bravado dissolved. Lin Chong blinked, astonished. "Brother Lu?" Lu Jishen halted, lowering his weapon. "Aye, it's me, brother. I've been trailing you in silence, waiting for this very moment." The jailers froze, their knees trembling. "Spare them," Lin Chong said hoarsely, stepping forward. "They're tools of others. The true villain is far away in the capital." Lu Zhishen grunted, displeased, but lowered his staff. "You've always had a soft heart. Very well. For your sake, I'll let them live. But were it not for you, I'd have turned their skulls into soup bowls." With that, he drew a knife and cut through Lin Chong's ropes, helping him to his feet. The monk's face was flushed from the cold and fury, but his tone softened as he dusted the snow from Lin Chong's shoulders. "Since the day I bought that sword from you, I've been haunted," Lu Jishen murmured. "I heard you'd been wronged, sentenced, dragged like a beast across the empire. I couldn't sit idle, so I followed." He told Lin Chong everything, how he had listened in at the inn, how he'd overheard the jailers plotting with boiling water in silence. "I was ready to kill them then and there," Lu admitted, "but the place was crowded. Now I've waited till the wood swallowed us whole." The jailers, Dong Chao and Shui Ba, cowered beside a pine tree, barely breathing. "Get up!" Lu barked, startling them. "You owe your lives to my brother's mercy." Trembling, the two jailers picked up their gear and helped Lin Chong gather his belongings. From then on, the roles were reversed. Lu Jishen led the journey. The jailers limped behind like chastised children. When they reached a village, Lu would buy meat and wine for Lin Chong, ordering the jailers to prepare the meals. They dared not defy him. One glare from Lu's thunderstorm eyes was enough to make them shiver in their boots. The road bent to Lu's will, as did they. Over the next 17 days, they moved slowly toward Kangzhou, through snowfields and frozen plains. When they neared the city, Lu Jishen paused in a grove. "Brother," he said quietly, "Kangzhou is close. From here, the road winds through villages. Too many eyes, too many ears. I must take my leave." Lin Chong clasped his hands. "You saved my life. I'll never forget your kindness." Lu handed over a handful of silver. "To smooth the road ahead. And for these two cowards," he tossed a few coins at the jailers, "remember, I could have snapped your necks like dry twigs." Then, to drive the message home, Lu lifted his iron staff and struck a pine tree nearby. With a thunderous crack, the tree splintered, bark exploded, and a deep gash split the trunk like it had been struck by lightning. "If either of you turns treacherous again, your skulls will look just like that." He gave Lin Chong a final nod. "Live well, brother," he said. Then he turned and vanished into the mist. Dong Chao and Shui Ba stared at the ruined tree for a long time before they dared speak. As Lin Chong and the two subdued jailers resumed their journey, noon's pale sun hung low behind drifting clouds. Snow crunched beneath their boots until, at last, they reached the edge of a small village nestled by a stone bridge. Beyond the bridge lay a tavern with faded banners fluttering in the wind. They entered, cold to the bone. The innkeeper barely glanced at them. Half an hour passed. Still no food, no wine. Lin Chong knocked on the table. "Innkeeper, are we not paying guests?" The innkeeper smirked. "You don't understand, do you? I'm doing you a favor." "A favor?" Lin Chong's voice was taut. The innkeeper leaned in. "See, just beyond this village lives a nobleman, Master Chai Jin, the Little Whirlwind, a descendant of Emperor Shizong himself. He takes in men like you, disgraced, betrayed, exiled. If you look too well fed, he'll assume you've got means and won't help. But if you arrive lean, hungry, he'll open his gates." Lin Chong straightened. "Where can I find this Master Chai?" "Cross the big stone bridge," the innkeeper gestured. "Past the bend shaded by willows, you'll see the walls." They set off again. Sure enough, beyond the curve of the road stood a manor, like something from legend, its white walls framed by drooping willow trees, a wide moat encircling it like a protective arm. On the bridge sat several idle guards, basking in the afternoon light. Lin Chong bowed deeply. "Please inform Master Chai that a convict from the capital seeks an audience. Lin Chong, former imperial instructor of the capital garrison." One guard glanced up. "Bad luck, stranger. The master's out hunting." Disappointment burned in Lin Chong's chest. "I see. I shall take my leave then." He turned back toward the road. But fate, mischievous as ever, wasn't finished. From the direction of the woods came the sound of galloping hooves. A mounted entourage approached swiftly, their flags rippling like dragons. At the center rode a man whose very presence altered the air. He was tall, with phoenix eyes and a lion's mane of hair. His robe shimmered violet with gold embroidery, and a bow and quiver hung at his side. The man reined in his white stallion. "Who is this man in chains?" he asked. Lin Chong stepped forward. "I am Lin Chong of the capital garrison, falsely accused and exiled." The man dismounted in a single graceful movement and stepped forward. "Forgive me," he said, bowing low. "Chai Jin failed to greet a hero." Startled, Lin Chong tried to return the bow, but Chai Jin grasped his hands. "You honor my house," the nobleman said. The grand hall of Chai Jin's manor was a place of silk and shadow, aglow with lantern light and the scent of pine resin. Lin Chong, now unshackled at Chai Jin's personal request, sat at the guest table, a feast of hot wine, roasted meats, and delicate dumpling stretched before him. "Forgive the humble fare," said Chai Jin, pouring wine himself. "You honor this hall with your presence, Master Lin." Lin Chong bowed his head. To meet the famed little whirlwind was beyond hope. "I am already in your debt." As the evening deepened, laughter and conversation flowed like warm water. Even the two jailers, normally cautious and cruel, now behaved like chastened schoolboys, drinking from golden cups and eyeing Chai Jin soldiers with wary admiration. But not all guests were so gracious. A loud voice broke the harmony. "So this is the famed Lin Chong?" A figure emerged from the side corridor, swaggering with the confidence of a man drunk on power. He was stocky, with flushed cheeks and a curling sneer. His tunic, once fine, hung crooked. His hair was carelessly tied, and his belt bore a bamboo training staff. Chai Jin rose. "Master Hong, you arrive in good time. This is Lin Chong, once an instructor to the Emperor's garrison." Hong snorted. "Instructor? Every vagabond claims the title these days. If he's truly a master, let him prove it." Lin Chong stood, but bowed. "I did not come to quarrel." "Then you're no warrior," Hong barked. "Afraid, are you?" Chai Jin's brow darkened. "Enough, Master Hong. If it's a demonstration you want, then let it be fair and with respect. This hall does not entertain braggarts." Still, Lin Chong hesitated, until Chai Jin quietly added, "You would not shame me by holding back, would you?" And so, under the silver gaze of the full moon, they stepped into the training courtyard. Lanterns were lit. Guards and servants formed a respectful ring. A rack of training staffs was brought forward. Hong grabbed his weapon first, spinning it with practiced flourish. "Come, master!" Lin Chong took his time. He bowed to Chai Jin, then to the gathered crowd, and finally to his opponent. Then he chose his staff, plain and unadorned. The duel began with a clash like thunder. Hong attacked first, aggressive and brash. Lin Chong parried, circled, and deflected each blow with calm precision. He did not strike back. After several rounds, he stepped back. "I've lost," Lin Chong said, still catching his breath. "My chains weighed me down, that's all." The crowd murmured. Chai Jin narrowed his eyes. "Then let us correct that." He turned to the jailers. "For 10 taels of silver, will you unlock those chains?" They agreed before he had even finished the sentence. Now unbound, Lin Chong stood tall in the moonlight, his sleeves fluttering in the wind like a warrior reborn. Round 2 began. Hong lunged, and in a blink, Lin Chong spun, swept the staff low, and struck. Hong flew backward, his staff spinning from his hands. He landed hard in the dirt, stunned and speechless. Chai Jin clapped his hands. "Now that," he said, beaming, "is the mark of a true instructor." The crowd erupted in cheers. Red-faced and humiliated, Hong staggered to his feet and slipped away into the night, leaving behind only silence and shame. The banquet carried on late into the night. Chai Jin, ever the gracious host, summoned servants to prepare warm bedding, fresh robes, and even gifted Lin Chong a silver ingot and 2 letters, one to the prefect of Kangzhou, the other to the warden of the penal camp. These men are familiar with my name," he said. "They will treat you well, or answer to me." Before dawn, Lin Chong once again donned his prisoner's cangue, not out of need, but appearance. The jailers, now utterly cowed by Chai Jin's generosity, helped strap it on more gently than ever before. They were also richer by several taels of silver. Chai Jin personally walked the trio to the manor gate, where the morning mist hung low over the fields. "A few days hence," he said softly, "I'll send you winter clothes. Stay strong, Master Lin. Fortune changes quickly." Lin Chong bowed deeply. "For your grace, I have no words, only my sword, should you ever need it." The road to Kangzhou twisted through frost-covered paths and silent villages. But where once Lin Chong had trudged like a man doomed, he now walked with renewed spirit. The cold did not bite so deep. The future did not seem so bleak. Still, unease lingered. The two jailers, Dong Chao and Shui Ba, whispered often behind his back, casting furtive glances at every bend in the road. One night, at a small roadside inn, Lin Chong overheard them. "That monk, he ruined everything," Shui Ba muttered. "We were supposed to deal with him in the forest," Dong Chao whispered. "Now he's alive, and worse, he's connected." They fell silent when Lin Chong returned from the latrine, but the air between them turned brittle. After 17 days of slow, cautious travel, the walls of Kangzhou loomed into view, gray stone rising like a prisoner's dream of the end. Just before the final stretch, they stopped beside a dense pine grove. The forest was quiet. Snow muffled every step. Lin Chong turned, feeling something shift in the air. "I'll go no farther," came a voice from the trees. From the shadow of a pine, a familiar figure emerged. Thick robes, iron staff, fierce eyes. Lu Jishan. "Brother!" Lin Chong's voice broke into a smile. "I've followed you since that cursed inn," the monk said, folding his arms. "These bastards wanted you dead. I couldn't rest." He stepped forward, iron staff tapping gently on frozen earth. "I would have killed them long ago, but you would have mourned." Lin Chong placed a hand on his chest. "You've done more than enough. They've not harmed me. Yet." Lu Zhishan reached into his robe, pulled out a pouch, and tossed it at the two jailers. "Silver, take it, and hear me now." He lifted his staff and brought it crashing down onto a nearby pine. The trunk cracked like a dry bone. The jailers flinched as the tree leaned and splintered. "I could do worse to your heads," the monk growled. The jailers nodded, speechless, trembling. "Now walk," he said, "and if I hear a whisper of treachery, well, you'll be fertilizer in this forest." With that, Lu Zhishen embraced Lin Chong and said, "Our paths part for now, brother, but fate is not done with you." And he disappeared into the falling snow. Kangzhou, a city of gray stone walls and even grayer skies. At the southern gate, Lin Chong and his two jailers presented the imperial orders to the guards and entered through the archway like insects swallowed by a mouth of stone. The atmosphere was cold, heavy, and suspicious. People averted their eyes at the sight of the congoy around Lin Chong's neck. Criminals were not rare here, but criminals of his bearing, with a soldier's walk and noble calm, were unsettling. They arrived at the Kangzhou magistrate's office, where the prefect, a balding man in silken robes, glanced over the documents with disinterest. He did not look up as he stamped the parchment. "Send him to the penal camp," the prefect muttered. "Single cell." At the outer wall, Lin Chong took a breath. He could smell ash, burnt rice, sweat, blood. The penal camp stood like a ghost town, where the living walked with hunched shoulders and eyes dulled by frostbite or fear. Guards leaned lazily on spears. A few prisoners shuffled in chains. The iron gate creaked open. "New meat!" barked the gatekeeper. And then, "You, new one!" Another voice, cold and sharp. A man with thin eyes and thinner lips stood with arms crossed. A clerk, but with the arrogance of a general. Name? Lin Chong. I heard of you. Sword instructor turned exile. Interesting." No warmth, only calculation. "Throw him in the single barracks," the clerk ordered. "He'll get the full welcome tomorrow." That night, Lin Chong huddled in a corner of his tiny cell, the Kangwei scraping the wall. There was straw for a bed, no blankets. Outside, the wind howled like wolves, denied their prey. The next morning, Lin Chong awoke to the harsh clang of iron and voices shouting in the courtyard. "New arrivals! To the yard! Kill the pride early! Break the bones later!" Lin Chong was about to rise when he heard another voice outside his door. "Wait, don't touch him yet," someone whispered. The door opened. It was the head clerk again, but his tone had changed. "You're Lin Chong, right? The one sent by Chai Jin?" The man produced a letter, unfolded it with care, and revealed the silver beneath it. 5 taels, gleaming in the light. Lin Chong bowed his head slightly. "I see," the clerk said, tucking away the silver. "Well then, you're lucky. 100 lashes were due today, but it seems you've fallen ill." He smirked. "Go rest in the hall of the heavenly kings. It's the best duty post, warm, quiet. Sweep a bit, burn some incense. You'll like it." And with a motion to a nearby guard, Lin Chong was quietly moved. No lashes, no public beating, no humiliation. Silver had bought silence. Influence had bought survival. And Chai Jin's name had bought safety. The Hall of the Heavenly Kings stood at the rear of the camp, its incense-laced air thick with age and memory. Statues of guardian deities loomed over the hall. Lin Chong swept their feet, lit offerings, and sat in their shadow. He was no longer just a soldier or an exile. He was a man treading water, held aloft only by distant allies and a fragile calm. From time to time, the guards dropped by, sometimes to chat, sometimes to beg for a taste of the winter gifts Chai Jin sent. Other prisoners watched him with wide eyes. Some feared him. Others, emboldened, began to speak of injustice, of tyranny, of something rising. But Lin Chong remained silent. He was not yet ready. He was recovering. He was watching. He was waiting. Because even in peace, a storm may grow. And in the shadows of statues and the scent of incense, a warrior was preparing.